going to share with you my review on the Good and the Beautiful curriculum, the language arts portion, and share with you why we use it, why we're continuing to use it, things that we like about it, and things that maybe we don't like but we can supplement in other areas. When you purchase the Level 1 Good and the Beautiful language arts curriculum, this is what's included. You get the big book here. You get the Level 1 reader. And then you get a set of phonics cards. This is just a few of the phonics cards. The curriculum itself is really what they call open and go. So you literally flip the book open and you can start just on day one, you can just read through. It says, tell the child, blah, blah, blah. There's your lines. One thing they're also known for, obviously it's called the Good and the Beautiful. So they're teaching things that are good and they're showing your kids things that are beautiful. So there's artwork involved in a lot of the curriculum. My 6-year-old loves the artwork because she's really into art and she's creative. We did this with my 4-year-old. We started the kindergarten curriculum with him because he's a little more advanced and he could really care less about the art. And maybe it's just his stage of life, but he's just not interested in the art stuff. So, just flip the page and move on. Not a big deal. So I'm gonna just give you a overview. We'll do a walkthrough of the book so you can see what's all included, what you're getting, and why we love what we have. All right, so here is the Language Arts Level 1 book. Got some extra decorations on this one. Here's the table of contents so you can see exactly what's involved. Level 1 is basically phonics and phonetic learning. Okay, so phonics cards. When your kid completes something, there's like a little coloring activity that they allow you to do. So she completes cards 1 through 56. She gets to color the squirrel and so on and so forth. Same with the sight words, which for some reason I thought this would be just annoying. But she loves it. When she finishes and she's completed all of her sight word ladders, she's been working really hard to master all of these sight word ladders. Every time she completes one, she gets to color in one of these animals. And we're only on lesson, let's see where we're at, 80 or 91, and she's completed all the sight word ladders. So we'll just go back and review them when they prompt us to. Every unit starts with an overview. So you're gonna know what the spelling words are that you're working on, what supplies you need for the entire unit, all the things that you're working on, the stories that you're gonna be reading in the reading book, and all the writing principles that are taught. And then, bam, right into the lesson. Lesson 1, consonant blends. Practice your phonics cards, read this to the child, and then teach your child how to read these words. And they really encourage you to break down the words so that your child can learn how to blend. So instead of saying camp, and they're like, I already know that says camp, but to say camp, camp. And then continue that habit throughout the whole book. There's little art projects that are sprinkled in between the units. So this was write all these words, and that's the motivation for this. And then we do some painting. For the phonics cards, when they call, they say, oh, this one's like, oh, no phonics cards needed, or sight word practice because it's kind of a big unit. They'll skip those some days. When they do say practice the phonics cards, we do these, and I just select which ones we should be working on. Spelling is not really super prevalent. They'll do some independent work. Let me just find, here's a spelling lesson right here. Sign language, which she thinks is really fun, but it's not teaching her so much the spelling because she's focusing on doing the sign language part, which is great, but then we miss the spelling aspect. So we do a different book for spelling. This book I don't think is really a great lesson for kids who struggle with spelling. If you're a kid who's great at spelling, this is probably just enough practice for them. That's all they really need. But for my daughter, she really struggles figuring out how to exactly spell words, and so it's more about drilling and practice and practice and practice. So we find books that are that style, which work. Here's some art, and then they ask you questions. Oh, point to the river in the painting. Look at contrasts and the clouds versus the shadows of the mountains and different colors that you see. So it's kind of fun to just look at something in a more in-depth way with a 6-year-old. And sometimes she's not interested, and then we just go, wow, this is a really great painting from a long time ago, and they're super talented, and then we move on. At the back, they have an appendix where they have assessments. So your child will read this passage at the beginning of whenever they're learning that particular unit, write down the timing, how many words they struggled with, and then they come back to it when it calls for it in the book, and you do another assessment, and then they get to see how much they've grown. They have all sorts of ones. Sometimes it's just a list of words, sometimes it's sentences, sometimes it's a story or a poem, and it's just great to see where we're learning and where we're struggling. And then you've got this. This comes up, they'll call for it in the book. They'll say, pull out the level 1 reader and read Robin in the Park. And then she will sit and read Robin in the Park. I love that it's spiral bound. Some of their books are not spiral bound. You can take them to Office Depot and get them spiral bound if you need to. For my daughter, this has been amazing. Spiral bound books are my jam because I can fold it over if we don't have space on the table, or just to not have to deal with the crease and fight with the book while you're trying to read, or if the book shuts on you and you lose your page, it's frustrating. Just one more thing to distract my 6-year-old from focusing on reading. It's a great addition to the curriculum itself. A lesson can take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, but literally no more than 20 minutes. And if it does go over, like if we're struggling with a concept, we just stop and we'll go back to it. Because some concepts are harder for your child to understand than others, and it all depends on your child's individual needs. My child has a hard time with the soft G and the soft C sound, and they revisit that in 3 different units, and even by the 3rd one, she was still struggling, so we just continued to repeat the units until she understands. It's not a race. It's not whoever finishes the book before the end of the school year wins. It's how well does your child understand the concepts, and is she ready, or are they ready to move on to the next concept? Because you cannot build on a foundation that isn't there. Why do we love the Good and the Beautiful curriculum, and why are we sticking with it? I love it because it's open and go. It doesn't have a lot of bits and pieces, and it's a very good curriculum for children who are struggling to read and understand phonetic concepts, which is my child. And so that's why we stuck with it. And we're going to continue on our journey with this, because what you find out with curriculums is once you pick one, you almost have to pick and stick. You find that when you switch curriculum, sometimes the scope and sequence is different. They'll cover certain things in this year and certain things in this year, whereas another curriculum might cover these certain things, different things this year than this year. And so your child will, if you swap curriculums, may miss something. A lot of people are concerned about the religious aspect because the creator is Mormon. And so I was very, very careful in choosing this curriculum to see if it had any like Mormon undertones. And it doesn't. It's very neutral. And I think they keep it that way so their market can be bigger than just the Mormon families. We're not a Mormon family. We're a very faith-based, Bible-believing family. And this curriculum covers just surfacey Christian topics, which is great at the age that my kids are at right now. God is great. God loves you. God created beautiful things for you to enjoy. And here they are. This is basically the foundation of the faith concepts that they share in this book. So they don't go into any deep theological Mormon topics. It is very surfacey. When my child needs some deeper spiritual education, we will seek a different curriculum, not so much for language arts, but that is specifically geared towards spiritual growth. I hope that gave you just a quick overview of what you are going to get when you purchase the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts curriculum. It's a great curriculum for anyone starting out homeschooling. It's also a great curriculum if you have a child who struggles with reading. And it'll be a fantastic launching pad to help your child find success